I remember the smell before anything else. That faint, sweet scent of her vanilla body lotion mixed with something unfamiliar. Something sharp, musky, and wrong. It hit me the second I stepped into the house. I had come home early that Friday, hoping to surprise my wife, Emily. I'd even stopped to buy her favorite white lilies. She always said they made the house feel peaceful. But as I walked through the hallway, peace was the last thing I felt. There were shoes by the door, men's sneakers. Not mine. My heart started to race, but my mind tried to keep up with logic. Maybe her brother dropped by. Maybe a neighbor. But deep down, something twisted inside me, whispering what I already knew. The bedroom door was half open. I pushed it gently, and the world I knew shattered in a heartbeat. Emily was there, my wife of 8 years, tangled in bed with another man. They froze when they saw me, faces pale, eyes wide like they'd just seen a ghost. I remember the lilies falling from my hand, landing softly on the carpet, petals scattering like the remains of something pure. The silence after that was deafening. Emily gasped, pulling the blanket to her chest, her lips trembling. "David, wait," she stammered. But I didn't wait. I didn't shout. I didn't even move toward them. Something inside me had gone still, like my emotions were standing in another room, watching this unfold. I stared at the man, tall, mid-30s, wearing a gold ring on his left hand. Married. That tiny detail flipped a switch inside me. My hand stopped shaking. My breathing slowed. I reached into my pocket and took out my phone. Emily thought I was recording. She started to cry, begging me not to. But I wasn't recording. I was calling. The man looked confused, then terrified when I turned the screen toward him. I pressed FaceTime. He froze. And when a woman's face appeared, her face, the man's wife, I said in the calmest voice I'd ever used, "Hi. I think you should see where your husband is right now." The room spun into chaos after that. Emily screamed, the man lunged for my phone, and on the screen his wife began to cry silently, watching her world collapse just like mine. The moment his wife's voice cracked through the speaker, everything became painfully real. "Ethan," she whispered, her tone trembling. "What's going on?" He tried to grab the phone again, stammering, "It's not what it looks like." But it was exactly what it looked like. Emily screamed at me to hang up, tears streaking down her face, but I just stood there, quiet, calm, watching the truth unfold like a slow-burning nightmare. "Your husband," I said evenly, "is in my bed with my wife." There was a pause. Just silence. Then a muffled sob came through the phone. Ethan's wife, Claire, I later learned her name, covered her mouth, her eyes filling with disbelief. No, this can't be," she whispered. Ethan jumped out of bed, fumbling for his clothes. "David, man, please don't do this," he pleaded, his voice shaking. "It was a mistake. A mistake." I repeated. "You don't trip and fall into someone's marriage, Ethan." Emily tried to get between us, her voice desperate. "Stop. Please, David, stop this. We can talk about it, just not like this." "Talk." I turned to her. "Now you want to talk?" For years she'd been distant, cold, always too tired, too busy, or not in the mood. I'd believed her. I told myself marriages go through rough patches, that maybe it was me. Maybe I wasn't enough. But now, looking at her shaking hands and tear-stained face, I realized she'd already checked out long before this moment. Ethan rushed toward the door, muttering something about leaving, but I blocked his way. "You can leave after I finish this call," I said, holding up the phone. Claire was still there, sobbing quietly. "You deserve to know who your husband really is." "Please," Ethan begged. "She doesn't need to." "She needs to," I interrupted. "Just like I needed to." Claire's voice broke. "How long has this been happening?" I didn't answer. Neither did Ethan. That silence was answer enough. Finally, I ended the call and tossed the phone onto the dresser. The sound of it hitting the wood felt like the closing note of a symphony. Ugly, sharp, final. Ethan bolted out the door, not even looking back. Emily followed him halfway down the hall, screaming his name, then turned to me with wide, hollow eyes. "David, please don't leave. I love you," she cried. I looked at her, the same woman I once thought I'd grow old with, and said, "You loved attention. You loved control. But love? You buried that years ago." Then I walked out. Not shouting. Not breaking. Just done. The air outside felt heavy, like it carried the weight of everything I had just left behind. I walked aimlessly for a while, not sure where I was going, just away. Away from that house, that bed, that betrayal. The lilies were still on the floor behind me, petals crushed beneath careless footsteps. For years I had been the husband who stayed quiet, the one who forgave, who believed things would get better. I worked long hours, brought her flowers, planned weekends she always canceled at the last minute. I thought love meant patience, but it turns out sometimes love just makes you blind to disrespect. I checked my phone. A dozen missed calls from Emily. Then a text. Please come back. We can fix this. I made a mistake. A mistake. Everyone calls it that when the damage is done. But cheating isn't a mistake. It's a choice, one made over and over until the person on the other side stops believing in you. I ended up driving to the park near the river, the place where Emily and I had our first date. I sat on the same bench where she once leaned her head on my shoulder and said, "You make me feel safe." Funny how fast that illusion dies. My phone buzzed again, this time an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. David. It was Claire. Her voice was fragile, trembling. The kind of voice that knows it will never sound the same again. I just wanted to say thank you, she whispered, for calling me. I deserved to know. I exhaled slowly. I'm sorry you had to find out like that. I'm not, she said. I spent months thinking I was crazy, that I was imagining things. But you showed me the truth. We talked for a few minutes, two strangers connected by the same wound. There was no anger left, just exhaustion. Before hanging up, she said something that stayed with me. You'll heal. It'll take time, but you will. People like them, they don't change. But people like us, we learn. That night, I went back home, not to reconcile, not to argue, but to pack. Emily was sitting on the couch, mascara streaked, clutching her phone like a lifeline. I can't lose you, she whispered. You already did, I said quietly. I left the key on the table and walked out for the last time. A week later, I filed for divorce. It wasn't revenge. It was freedom. And as I stood outside that courthouse, I finally realized something. Sometimes closure isn't about getting answers. It's about accepting that some people destroy everything just to feel powerful, and you don't have to be their victim anymore.